All right, what is going on, everybody? Thank you very much for tuning into the post-game show here. Appreciate you guys hanging out. It's twice today. You guys had to listen to me in the morning. Now you got to listen to me at night. Lakers over the Bulls, 129 to 118, the final score. Thank you for hanging out. A lot of good stuff to talk about today. We're going to hit a ton of really just getting another win and the Lakers being 3-1 on this road trip. I'm not going to underestimate this win. I didn't have the best feeling about this game in Chicago. The Lakers' flight was delayed. This is the fourth game of the road trip. Chicago had won 5 games in a row. So I don't know, just kind of had a vibe. I'm like, I thought tonight was going to be a difficult night, but the reality was Lakers really controlled this game right from the get-go. And yeah, there were some moments Chicago made it interesting, but for the most part, this was a really good performance from the Lakers. We're going to hit on Luka. We're going to hit on Rui Hachimura getting more and more comfortable coming off the bench. We're going to hit on a few of these players, the Jake LaRavias of the world, the Marcus Smarts, the Jackson Hayes. There's some other guys, Jared Vanderbilt, that are doing a good job contributing for this Lakers team. And it's another win for the Lakers. They now find themselves 11 games over 500. So we'll give everybody some time to, obviously start tuning into the show. So thank you for being here. Appreciate it. If you guys got thoughts, comments on the show, feel free to throw it on the comments. I'll do my best to get to them. So let's break it down. Let's get started here. I think for me, when I kind of look at this game, the totality of it, I never really thought there was a moment the Lakers were going to lose this game. Just never did. And I'm talking about actually watching them play, not what I thought coming into the game. Coming into the game, like I said, I thought this was going to be a much tougher game for the Lakers than it actually was. But watching the game and seeing how the Lakers just kind of came out, created their own tempo, really kind of let Chicago know they're going to have a little bit of a cushion the entire game. I got the game on in the background here, so I'm seeing when the Lakers found a way to drop the lead all the way to 1, but they obviously recovered. But overall, I don't really have too much to complain about with the Lakers, to be honest with you. I thought they did a good enough job. Like I said, coming out, the ball was moving. LeBron was phenomenal in the first half. Luka was phenomenal really throughout the entire game. Every time Rui touched the ball, it felt like the shot was going in. They got stops when they needed to. I'm going to give Chicago some credit. When Chicago went on their run in the third quarter, what was Chicago's run? By the way, Chicago went on a crazy run, but by the time the third quarter was done, Lakers actually outscored the Chicago Bulls 35-33. So that tells you much. That tells you a lot right there. Even with Chicago doing what they were doing, but the run that Chicago went on, they said so many threes. I mean, they fire away from the three-point line. They took 49 threes. Lakers took 33 of them. They took 16 more threes from the Lakers. So I think there's some points of this game where you got to kind of give Chicago some credit here. They had a couple of guys that were hitting everything, it felt like, from the three-point line and firing away like crazy. And that's just kind of their game. This is what they do. They got a couple of bench players. Obviously, Josh Giddey coming off the bench. That's primarily has to do with, I think he missed 11 games or something along those lines. So he's on a minutes restriction. So Chicago was just firing away. They got nothing to lose. They're a team that's trying to get into that play-in tournament in the Eastern Conference. So of course they're going to play loose. Of course they want to play the Lakers. And frankly, I thought the Lakers kind of kept them at bay the entire game. Like I said, there was never a moment in this game that I didn't think the Lakers were going to win the game. And were there some moments where it got a lot closer than you wanted it to be? Sure, of course. That kind of comes with the territory. But I think at the end of the day, just a good, solid win to run your road trip record to 3-1. And maybe I'm a little bit too conservative. Not maybe, I am too conservative. But I said if Lakers go 4-4 on this road trip, then I'll take it. And here they are 3-1 now, and there's some very winnable games that are left on their schedule here. I mean, you just beat Washington and take care of Brooklyn. It's 5-3 at the worst, but I think what's going to be exciting about these next couple of games, you're going to actually play some teams that are pretty decent. I want to see how the Lakers respond. As far as individual players, I could start in one of two areas. I could either start with Rui or I could start with Luka. I'm going to go Luka tonight. I don't typically go with the stars all the time, but I'm going to go Luka here for a quick second. I'm watching Luka play in this game, and how many back-breaking tough shots did Luka take where Chicago just sits there and says, what the F do we do about this? He hit 8 threes for the Lakers in 14 attempts. So 60% and change from the 3-point line. He shot 15 of 25 from the field. So well over, what is that? Again, over 60% from the field as well. I mean, Luka was just probably even higher than that, probably closer to 70%, 65%, whatever that number is. Had 11 dimes for the Lakers as well. Also had 7 rebounds. You're watching the game, and I kept hearing them talk about how, who was it on the broadcast? I can't remember who was on the broadcast that was saying that most of these greats that have been a part of the game say you start walking your prime around 28 years old. And I listen, for every player, it's different. I mean, LeBron was playing good at 37, 38 years old. He's still playing like he's in his prime. So not every player is created equal. A lot of players get to 32, and it's like these guys are washed. Vucevic, by the way, who I was watching, I don't know how old he is, but let's just say that's a good example. At least watching in just one game, watching the Chicago Bulls, that dude looked washed. That does not look like the same player that we used to watch in the past. But seeing what Luka was doing and kind of understanding and knowing that Luka's only going to get better. He's going to get better because he's just his raw talent. He's going to get better because he'll have more experience in the league. He's going to get better because the older you get, the wiser you get. And he's also going to get better because they're going to eventually build a team around him that just makes a lot more sense than the current team that they have around him. He was unbelievable tonight. Unbelievable. I'm saying to myself here, and this happens every once in a while, and it might happen because the Lakers are playing the Dallas Mavericks, or it might happen, whatever. Do you guys ever catch yourselves? I did it tonight against Chicago. Saying, how did they get this guy? If there's anybody that wants to like sell me on the league is fixed, this might be the trade for me to be convinced that the league is fixed. How'd they get Luka? The guy can put up 46, 11, and 7 like it's nothing. I mean, he's out there smiling and joking around, smiling at the opposing team while he's stabbing you, not in the back, but right in front of you so he can make eye contact. He's a killer out there. Just an absolute killer. And the Lakers got him for nothing. Literally. Anthony Davis hasn't been on the floor for them. Max Christie's a nice player, but pretty sure they're not going to trade Max Christie for Luka Doncic. Just crazy to kind of sometimes think. It like hits you, it slaps you across the face out of nowhere. For me tonight, it slapped me across the face. Like, how the hell they get this guy? Dallas could have had this guy for the next 10 years and eventually won a championship and got back to the NBA Finals. Instead, they shipped him to Los Angeles to play for the Lakers. 46, 11, and 7 like it was nothing. Like it was nothing. And I hope, me painting that picture of what Luka will eventually be in the next couple of years when it comes to just getting closer to his prime, getting better, more comfortable in LA. And when they build the proper roster around him, damn. But Luka looked great tonight. That's all I can really say. Every time they needed a bucket, he got one. Every time, Chicago made it close. There are a couple times Chicago made it a little bit interesting, but for the most part, Lakers and behind Luka really changed all of that. Okay, let me keep going here. I want to hit on a couple other players. LeBron did most of his damage in the first half. LeBron did his job tonight. That's all. Listen, if LeBron can give you 24 points in 33 minutes of play, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, call it a day. That's it. Don't ask for anything more from LeBron. He's doing his job. He's doing his job on a night in, night out basis right now. When he first came back from dealing with the injury, the sciatica, and then eventually a few games in, there was a lot of question marks. It's like, God, this looks awful. LeBron's been so much better and kind of getting closer to the player that we've been accustomed to the last couple of years for LeBron. So LeBron did his work. So, obviously give him credit. Predominantly, most of that work came in the first half. And like I said, he did his job. The player I really want to get into outside of Luka, and I think this is kind of adding a completely different dynamic for the Lakers. What if I told you there was a player for the Lakers that started coming off the bench and in the last 2 games is averaging 20 points off the bench? I did a piece this morning where I was talking a little bit about how Luka has how Rui has accepted the role, He's okay with it. He's all good. You want me to come off the bench? I know I'm going to get my minutes. This works better for my game. If you got a player like that, that is completely, he's in on the idea. He likes the idea. He thinks it's better for the team, and he thinks it's actually better for his own game. Think about how much of a headache the bench has been for the Lakers in regards to they just don't have enough depth. They don't have enough players that can shine, that come off the bench. And now all of a sudden you just stuck Rui Hachimura coming off the bench. He's given you a 17-point night with some big clutch shots. And tonight he gave you 23 points in the 9 for 11 performance, 4 of 5 from the 3-point line, and a plus 24 in the plus minus in 28 minutes of play. I mean, does that not just sound like a complete game changer for the Lakers, something they didn't have? You know, they could do as well. I'm not telling you they're going to do this, and I don't think they're going to. But if they wanted to, they could also say, well, let's bring Reeves off the bench as well, at least to start off. Let's get this guy, let him get his minutes, let him get his rotation, let him get his conditioning back, all that stuff. They could, if they wanted to, just say, well, let's just keep the starting lineup as it is. And then we'll just lean on our bench a little bit more. And when we go to our bench, then we can actually give Luka Doncic proper rest, or we can give LeBron proper rest. And then we can throw in guys off the bench. That's Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, and Jackson Hayes. If I'm being honest with everybody, that's not a terrible 4 or 5 guys that you can throw off the bench. It really isn't. Again, I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to stay. I think Austin Reeves is going to be, obviously in the starting lineup, but damn, what a cool moment for Rui, because Rui not only is getting starter minutes, Rui is not only shining, but Rui is doing something that the Lakers so desperately need, which is get guys that come off the bench and could be a little bit of a threat. And he's not thinking right now. He's a complete laser. Any three that he gets, he's starting to shoot the three and start going the other way. He's like, yeah, that's going in. Everything looks pure. Everything looks comfortable. And obviously it's been a handful of games now since he's back from his injury, so it looks like his conditioning's on point. Certainly he looks as comfortable as he ever has. Plus 24 off the bench for Rui Hachimura. By the way, these bench guys, look at this. When's the last time we ever seen this? Vando plus 21. Jackson Hayes plus 26. Even Gabe Vincent gave you a plus 13. Even though, it didn't exactly make it happen offensively. He did have 3 dimes. I guess I'll give Gabe Vincent credit for that. Those were the kind of the key players I want to point out. And I do think, like I said, this kind of adds a whole new dynamic to having Rui not just coming off the bench for you, but thriving in that role and looking like he's enjoying that role. So far, so good. And for the Lakers now, they get to 28-17. So puts them at 11 games over 500. And guys, when the dust settles here, I know there's a lot that's kind of gone on this season. They're still winning games. They've won 4 of their last 5. 28-17 is a good record in the Western Conference. And I'll look at the standings later. I know there were some games, but I don't really have too many complaints right now. I really don't. The Dallas game was frustrating because, maybe you kind of thought, I don't know, did they get lucky or did Dallas just fold because they don't have that good of a team and they're so young? There was some frustration there. The Clipper game, don't go down by 26, but the reality is these last handful of games, whether it's the game against the Toronto Raptors, it's the game, let me think here right off the top of my head. They had the Raptors, who was the one before that. Whether it's the win against the Raptors, the win against the Denver Nuggets, obviously the loss of the Clippers was frustrating, but that was more frustrating because they dug themselves a 26-point deficit. But then you come back, a win at the Mavs and a win at the Bulls. They're 3-1 now in their last in their 4 games of the 8-game road trip. They got 4 games left to go. So another nice win for the Lakers, and I'm going to give them credit tonight because I did really genuinely think they played well tonight. They deserve that credit. Okay, I want to look at a couple of comments here. I know we got a lot of people that want to chime in. Certainly have a lot of people that want to talk about this Lakers W. We're going to do that in just a second. Before we do, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. If you're ever in the need of an injury attorney, he can help anybody in the state of California. Really hope you guys are never in a serious injury, wrongful death case. You're in a position or a situation. I know it's daunting. It's intimidating. What I would tell you is if you go to that website, You'll get a free consultation. One of the best injury attorneys in the business will be able to help you. Somebody that's very well trusted, somebody that, you guys know is a great partner of the channel. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. So if you just go to that website, get that free consultation. Thank you to Brad Walsh for being a partner here. And of course, like I said, anybody in the state of California, he can help. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here, see what some of the people got to say about this Lakers win. Slee, Luka has looked much better the last 2 games, effort on defense and moving the ball more. I don't know if this has anything to do with it. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But, we do know this. We know that JJ Redick challenged Luka a couple games ago. And he said, in order for the defense to be better, he actually talked about areas for the Lakers to improve offensively to then kind of highlight and dictate what the Lakers can do defensively. Look, he still took 25 shots tonight, but when you're hitting it the way he is and kind of reading the defense, I don't think anybody has a problem if Luka takes a lot of shots. What they have a problem is if you take a lot of shots and you're not hitting them and it's not efficient shooting or your shot selection isn't good. If you're 8 of 14 from the 3-point line and you're 15 of 25 from the field, there is nothing anybody can say about Luka. And in these last couple games, he's been very efficient. Only took 15 shots against Dallas, which I thought was interesting, but got to the free throw line a ton. And he's still obviously racking up the dimes. All right, let's get another one here. How is Luka like? I'm with you on that. It's just that one comes and goes. You might have like a moment in your life where you're saying to yourself, you're trying to ask that question, like, what the hell happened? What's going on here? That's me with Luka at the moment. Today was a good reminder that I still don't understand that one. Okay, Jake LaRavia is really starting to grow on me, even with his limitations on offense. Let's talk Jake here for a quick second. Because I think if the Lakers are able to, obviously, if JJ Redick sees something and says, well, Rui's back and he's healthy, but what if I bring him off the bench? That means he's got to see something in Jake LaRavia to justify that. Let me read you Jake LaRavia's stats tonight, okay? And I know he's probably not going to get a lot of credit for tonight's game, but I think this is, I'm going to kind of try to get to what my point is. I'm going to go a roundabout way, so work with me here for a second. Play 33 minutes, 8 points. You'd be like, okay, well, 33 minutes, 8 points is nothing. 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. Only took 6 shots. So let me understand this from Jake LaRavia, and I think this is why JJ Redick likes the idea and is confident enough to say to himself, I'm gonna bring Rui off the bench. Either he can go to Rui Hachimura, another more offensive-minded player in that starting lineup, or he can say Jake LaRavia never needs the ball. Frankly, if I'm being honest with you, doesn't even want the ball. Probably is more times than not trying to stay out of where the ball is, as in he's not going to go out there and try to create or go try to put up buckets. But here's what Jake LaRavia is going to give you. He's going to be smart. He's not going to be a high-volume shooter. He's not going to get in the way of Luka. He's not going to get in the way of LeBron. He's going to play hard. He's not a bad defender. He's got good size for an NBA player. And whatever you tell him to do, he's going to listen. It's not a bad player to have on your team. I'm not telling you Jake LaRavia is a starting player on a championship roster, but what I'm telling you is Jake LaRavia is learning a lot right now. Not too many Laker fans are bitching and complaining about Jake LaRavia. That's a good sign. I mean, as you guys know, a lot of fan bases, they'll find something to bitch and complain about. LaRavia is giving JJ Redick an option that I don't think he thought he had. And there is a little bit of cohesiveness that you're starting to see within a starting lineup because these guys actually are getting a chance to play with each other all the time. Maybe that all changes when Reeves comes back, but LaRavia is playing good enough to say, all right, you can leave LaRavia out there without being upset. And anytime you want to pull him, you just pull him. It's like, all right, like towards the end of this game, I saw Rui on the bench. I'm like, why is Rui on the bench? Why is Jake in? I'd prefer they switch that. They eventually got to, I think, the 3-minute TV timeout. They switched it. Rui came back in. LaRavia was on the bench. At least you got options. At least you can make the call and make the and call the shot of whether you want this guy in or that guy. And Jake LaRavia and Rui Hachimura, it's kind of an interesting dynamic here. Rui can come off the bench and give you that offense that you need. Jake LaRavia could be that dog that as many minutes as you have him in there, he's not going to kind of take anything away from your superstars. Good observation here on the Jake LaRavia piece. I like that. You guys have the comment here from T-Wrong is a good observation. Okay, let's take a look at a few more comments. I'm going to go a little bit further back here. Now you can't trade Rui. Depends, right? What are you trading him for? One of the things that I said probably about a month ago or so is I think, unfortunately for the Lakers, they're not really in a position where they can get rid of some talent. They need more talent. They can't lose talent to get talent. Really what they're hoping for is they're a team interested in expiring contracts, potential draft compensation, and is there a player that they're giving up on as well that the Lakers can capitalize on? Thoughts on starting Hayes? Yeah, there was a possession. There were two possessions in a row that I think will tell you everything about Deandre Ayton's night. Ayton came in, and what did they do here? I'm trying to think here off the top of my head. They had like 3-4 seconds left on the shot clock. And Vucevic somehow got backdoor and got a dunk out of it. And that was Deandre Ayton's man. And then the very next possession, there was kind of a similar play. The ball is baseline, 4 seconds left on the clock, on the shot clock. And Vucevic, I don't know, miscommunications from the defenders. And Vucevic gets another dunk. And immediately I looked over to the bench and JJ Redick was asking Jackson Hayes to come in. 2 plays from Deandre Ayton where he looked a little bit lost on defense. Let me give you Ayton's numbers tonight. 6 points, 2 rebounds in 22 minutes. Jackson Hayes, 8 points, 4 rebounds, 2 block shots in 23 minutes. One player was a minus 15. Another player was a plus 26. They're kind of walking a little bit of a fine line right now with Deandre Ayton. Ayton might be getting to that point where it's like you might lose Ayton at some point. And what I mean by you might lose him is you might lose him up here. And I don't know what the Lakers are going to do in regards to that. I mean, I'm not going to Jackson Hayes yet. I'm going to keep kind of riding this Rui thing, or I'm sorry, keep trying to ride this DeAndre Ayton piece. And let me see if I could figure this thing out. Let me see if I could get the Ayton back that I need. It's just too early to, it's not like a playoff game or a playoff series where you're giving up on a player. It's January 26th. You got a little bit of time to kind of work on this, but let's just say if I'm looking here, I'm going to look at this real quick because I'm curious. Let's see what Ayton's done in these last handful of games. These last 5 games, here's DeAndre Ayton. Okay. See his points here. He had a good night against Toronto with 25 points. Since then, 4 points, 8 rebounds, 4 points, 5 rebounds, 9 points, 11 rebounds, shot 4 of 16 from the field in that game, and then 6 points, 2 rebounds. We're kind of getting to an area of DeAndre Ayton, which, probably explains from a lot of those people of, hey, get what you can from Ayton, but he's not something that you can, get anything guaranteed with, I guess is the best way to put it. So, Ayton don't want to be great. I don't question that. You might be right on that one. Listen, maybe just doesn't love the game. You know what I mean? Like maybe here's another one here. Slee, I'm sensing a disturbing pattern. Ayton no-shows for 2 quarters. Then we play Hayes and Ayton done for the night. Well, you know what might be, I was listening to the Hoops Collective podcast, and I got some clips I want to play for my show tomorrow, but I was listening to that podcast today. And one of the guys on there was talking about how, well, yeah, Lakers have a lot of expiring contracts, but they also have a lot of contracts where either guys are going to be back or they're going to opt into their contract. And they mentioned DeAndre Ayton. Can you imagine that? Ayton opts back in. Ayton has a player option for this upcoming season. It's not a crazy contract or a terrible contract, but everyone just thought, of course, Ayton's going to play his way into another contract. Tell me right now a team that's saying, yeah, we're giving you 3 years, 45 million. We're giving you 2 years, 30 million. I mean, is a team lining up for it? Maybe there will be. There always are teams in the NBA that will make decisions, but damn, Ayton is he's quickly showing that this is just not a player that, obviously you're going to rely too much on. All right, let's get a couple more in these here, and I got a couple other points I want to make here. I think Ayton knows he's on the trade block. Rui is looking real good lately. He's almost tradable now. Let's see what else we got here. I just think Ayton gets more shot attempts if he's right in the bench group and Hayes starts similar to Rui. Interesting. It's interesting. Interesting on that. I think that's an interesting point. If you're trying to make a case here that no, we can get you more touches. But here's the thing. Ayton's supposed to be a player for them that is Ayton's supposed to be a player that is a real contributor this year. A lot of people were saying, I remember before the season started, a lot of people were like, hey, this is the most important player on this Lakers team because what you're going to get from some of these other guys. I don't think that's the case anymore. So it is what it is. That's kind of where we are in regards to DeAndre Ayton. And I don't know if much is going to change in regards to that. I really don't. Okay, Lakers over the Bulls, 129-118. A couple other things to kind of point out here real quick in regards to this game tonight. So Lakers halfway through the road trip. So 4 games in, they got 4 to go. Got to be honest, it's not something that I was expecting. They just have been so up and down. And listen, they have moments where they're wildly up and down. I mean, in the same quarter, in that third quarter, I think they're up by, I know at one point Lakers were up 20, and then it's a 1-point game. So that portion happened. Chicago, obviously another team that's not contending. So we don't want to make too much of a big deal about that. But I think the next couple of games that the Lakers have, to me, are going to be interesting. These are going to be some fun games. Because the next couple of games they have, and it's not exactly in order. So they go Cavs, Wizards, Knicks, Brooklyn. 2 games against 2 teams that can definitely beat you. 2 games that you should 100% beat, the Washington Wizards, and you should 100% beat the Brooklyn Nets. Those are the 2 games that you got to get. But 3-1 to start this road trip, I think they've been very, very impressive. So Cavs game coming up, that's going to be an early tip-off. We kind of know how this works, this East Coast trip. A lot of these times this is the earliest you're going to have a game unless it's on a weekend. And for the Lakers, the next one for them is the Cavs. Now, I'm looking forward to kind of, I guess you could call it, learning a little bit more about the Cleveland Cavaliers. I know they're starting to play better basketball, but they were going through a stretch where I'm like, what the hell happened to the Cavs? I thought Cavs and the Knicks would be representing the East this year, but they're playing better ball. What have they won now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They've won 6 of their last 7 games. Some of those wins, a couple against the Sixers. They lost to the Thunder. 1 against the Hornets, 1 against the Kings, a couple against the Magic, even though it feels like the Magic are kind of falling apart. So where are the Cavs right now as far as the standings go in the Western or in the Eastern Conference? Cavs are sitting at the number 5 spot. So Lakers this week will have a game against the number 5 Cavs and the number 4 New York Knicks. Wizards are at the bottom. They own that spot. They're 10-34. They've lost 9 in a row. And Brooklyn has lost 5 in a row. They're 12-32. So 2 decent teams in the Eastern Conference left on the trip. 2 terrible teams left in the Eastern Conference left on the trip as well. So something to keep in mind. Of course, the Cavs, I just want to check one thing here. Do they got any significant injuries or anything? DeAndre Hunter didn't play tonight. Most of their other guys, is Garland still out? Garland will be reevaluated next 7 to 10 days. That was January 18th. So that's obviously, that's a big one right there. So he could, I don't think he'd be back for the Lakers game. They're getting close to that. They're in that 7 to 10 day window, but we'll see what happens in regards to to that. But of course, they got their main guys, Donovan Mitchell, go down the list, Evan Mobley. So they got some really talented players on that team as well. Okay, let's go back to tonight's game, but that just gives you a little bit of an idea where the Lakers sit in regards to their next game. That's coming up on that game's coming up on Wednesday. Where are they now in the standings? What are we looking at here in the standings? Lakers with the win, 28-17. A little bit of a cushion now on the Phoenix Suns after Phoenix lost 2 in a row. Game and a half in front of Phoenix, and they're half a game behind the Houston Rockets. So I think Lakers, I mean, honestly, if you're just looking at the record, their spot is fine. They're in a good spot. I mean, it could be a lot worse than this, trust me. And there have been moments during the season where you thought it might be a lot worse than this. So Lakers sitting at 28-17, number 5 spot in the Western Conference. I'll take that all day. If I'm being completely honest with you, I'll take that all day. I think it could have been a lot worse, and I'll give them credit for that. Okay, I want to spend the last maybe 10 minutes of the show just kind of going through some of the comments, let people react a little bit to this game. Few different scenarios are coming up. I think it's interesting what people are saying in regards to what do you do with that starting lineup, especially when Austin Reeves comes back. Do you do something with Jackson Hayes and DeAndre Ayton? Do you make a change there? So I think that's going to bring up some good conversation. Before we do so, I'm at Harris Resort coming up on Thursday and Friday. I'll be there doing my show on Friday morning, which I'm looking forward to. I'll also be there on Friday night. Andrew Santino, which is a really, really funny comedian. They got a great entertainment schedule and a great entertainment lineup if you just go to the website. I'll be there for that show as well. The website is harrissocal.com. If you're looking to book a getaway and you don't want to go on this, I got to go buy a flight, round trip tickets cost X amount of dollars. I got myself, my girl, the kids, whatever the case is, right? It gets expensive. It gets very expensive fast. Plus, it's a hassle. Plus, it's a headache. Why not just get in your car and drive between 1 and 2 hours, depending on where you are in SoCal? Head out to the Palomar Mountains down in San Diego, North San Diego, and go enjoy your time at Harris Resort SoCal. Phenomenal restaurant. Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen is there. I'll be dining there on Thursday night. Looking forward to that. And just a great place to kick back and relax as the weather gets a little bit warmer. Trust me, they got some of the best pools as well. They got a swim-up bar. They got a lazy river. It's a cool place to be at. harrissocal.com. Start looking to book your next trip. harrissocal.com. So thank you for supporting our partners. All right, let's take a look at spend the rest of the show looking at some of the comments here. Lakers rolling because we're finally starting to guard people. Yeah, let me simplify this here. And this is a conversation I think that we've all had. And this has been something that, clearly has been a part of the show. And we've referenced this a number of different times. Got to play deep. Got to get stops. At some point, you got to get stops. And one of the biggest issues that the Lakers have been dealing with is they just don't get enough stops. They put themselves in a tough position. We obviously know what a headache this team can be sometimes when it comes to not getting stops on a consistent basis. They're too focused on offense. But these last handful of games, I'll give them credit. Give them credit for some of the defense that they've been playing. Sure. All things considered, 28-17 is impressive. Don't disagree there. By the way, they'll probably lose a game that we're not expecting. Everybody's going to say the world's about to end. But I'm with you. I think 28-17 is a good record for the Lakers. I can see the Lakers beating the Knicks and losing to the Nets. I mean, if you're telling me to pick and choose, I'd rather have a W against the Knicks. But I know what you're talking about there. That a little bit of everything from that perspective. Once AR gets back, we may get our wish and won't see another minute of Gabe Vincent. Yeah, that guy looks lost right now. He really does. He really, really does. All right, let's see what else we have here. Living in, I'm assuming South Carolina. I'm so glad we're on the East Coast road trip. I get to watch them without falling us. I don't know how you guys do it out there. I don't know how everybody on the East Coast does it. Okay, a few more here. We can't bench our prized off-season pickup to solve our center possession issue. Yeah, I listen, I think if the noise would be so much louder about Ayton. I think the noise is starting to get really loud, but it would be so. Imagine if Portland wasn't paying any part of his contract and the Lakers were the ones paying him 30 and change. That'd be such a different story. But I think the fact that it's more tolerable is because we just all know that the Lakers are only paying a portion. And Ayton, I don't think he ever thought was going to, be the future center of the Lakers, and he's solidified it this year. Definitely not going to be the future center of the Lakers. But can I say this? I know there's a lot of people that want to talk about Ayton and be frustrated with Ayton. I don't think you got to worry about Ayton tonight. I think there's enough other players doing some good things right now that I would just kind of focus on some of the positives, what the Lakers were able to do tonight. Let's see. Rui was the star of the night. Let's go back to that real quick. I want to talk Rui here real quick and why this is such an important dynamic that's playing out for the Lakers. One of the things the Lakers have not had in a while is they haven't really had a good bench, a bench they could depend on, a bench. I mean, look at last season. You guys remember last year, you got that moment in the playoffs where JJ Redick did something that no other head coach has done in the history of the playoffs, which is not make a substitution in the second half. Kind of told you everything about how he felt about the Lakers' depth in their bench. Now all of a sudden you got kind of an interesting dynamic playing out. If Jake LaRavia can hold down the starting lineup spot, not because he's going to give you 15 and 10 a night, but because he's going to play hard, he's going to play defense. And frankly, one of the other reasons, he just doesn't get in the way of anybody. He's not in Luka's way. You don't see LeBron chirping over like, get this dude off the floor. No, he plays hard enough. Can get stats when every once in a while he might give you a 15-point performance or a 20-point performance. But what you never got to worry about with Jake LaRavia is he going to give you the effort. He's going to play some defense. He's going to do some of those small things. And if that could get Rui Hachimura off to the bench and Rui all of a sudden is okay with that and comfortable with that and excited in that role, that's a different dynamic. So I'm waiting to see, when Austin Reeves comes back. All right, there's another player that you could potentially put off the bench. Will the Lakers do that? I'm not sure. I don't know if that's going to be the answer. Then again, I thought Rui was not going to come off the bench. I thought Rui was going to start. Typically what happens is a player doesn't lose his starting spot because of an injury. But in this case, this just might be a little bit more strategic. And again, Rui might be telling JJ Redick, hey, I'm okay with this. As long as you play me the right amount of minutes, I'm okay with this. Reeves comes back. What's that going to do? Does that mean Marcus Smart goes to the bench? Does that mean Jake LaRavia goes to the bench? I'm not sure what they're going to do. Maybe they just start him off the bench and kind of see how that works and go from there. At the end of the day, what's the goal? The goal is to win. So I think all these guys, hopefully, they're all good enough to sacrifice, or they're all smart enough to sacrifice for the betterment of the team. By the way, and I'm not trying to tell you guys that definitely not trying to tell you guys that Austin Reeves should be coming off the bench. I don't know if I have an answer to that. I think probably more likely that he's in the starting lineup, but I also understand why people would say, but wouldn't it make more sense for him to come off the bench for the Lakers? And we'll see what the Lakers end up doing whenever that happens. By the way, he's supposed to come at some point on this road trip. He's supposed to join the Lakers. We'll see when he does. Expectations have changed. Now need to end this trip 5-3. Listen, if you're 5-3 and you go 2-2 in your last 4 games, I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with that. Obviously, can you beat one of these two teams that are mid in the Eastern Conference, the 4-5 spot? Can you beat New York or Cleveland and take care of Brooklyn and Washington? That would obviously be a perfect scenario if they're able to do that. Sliwa, are the Lakers still in on signing Chris Paul this season? To be honest with you, I don't think that's an angle they're going to go. And nor do I want to see them go that angle. I don't think they need to get older. And I don't think they need another veteran voice. If I'm being frank with you, I don't think that that's necessary. Jake is a star in his role. Love from the UK. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Craving some cereal. Slee, what's your favorite cereal? I'm all healthy cereals now. I don't want, frosted mini wheats anymore. I don't want Lucky Charms. I don't want to do that kid stuff anymore. This is what happens. When you get older, now you just want the healthier cereals. Give me the nuts and the raisins and all that stuff in there. I'm okay with that. That's where I'm at in my life right now. Rui and AR off the bench makes sense, mixing up their minutes in the first half. Why would anyone want CP3? Another guy needs the ball. Another old guy, a slow guy, and all that baggage. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good off that too. Okay, that's all we got for today. Got about 40 minutes in. I appreciate everybody tuning in. John, Ayton plus minus, only one worse than LeBron. Had to get that in there. Thank you for the super. I appreciate you. Please subscribe to the channel if you've yet to subscribe to the channel. If you're watching this show on YouTube Live, thank you. If you're watching it recorded, if you end up getting this in the audio version on the iHeartRadio network, Spotify, wherever you get it from, thank you very much for doing so as well. I'm back on tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. So if you guys want to join the show tomorrow, we'll talk some more Lakers. We'll talk some more NBA. The show starts at 8 a.m. Lakers over the Bills, 129-118. Hopefully everybody's got a great night. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Lakers now 11 games over 500. See you in the morning.